Hello.
Hi guys.
Hi everyone.
Hello there.
How's everyone?
Hello, hello.
Good morning, Mark.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good, good.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing today?
Great.
Great. Yourself?
Excellent. Another day.
Another day.
In Israel, the weekend starts on Thursday, so this is my weekend starting. So I'm one day ahead of you guys. So I'm definitely excited.
Well,
There's a thing that's a weekend in crypto in EOS. I wasn't sure.
So the big thing today, guys. The big thing today is it's the summer solstice happened 3 hours ago.
That's true.
Right. True.
Yeah.
Longest day of the year. It's beautiful.
It was the winter solstice.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We've got some people
That's true.
down south.
A solstice happens today.
We forget how global we are.
Indeed.
In every time zone, we have some person. We have bro here.
Yeah, Luke showing off his new green screen.
You like it? You like?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's awesome. That's great.
The funny thing with
great.
Zoom is you have to actually reverse the image or the words show up backwards.
No, it is
It is backwards right now.
It is backwards.
Is it backwards?
US
Just say it. It is backwards.
US just look like 209.
Look, I'll go official like you then.
It displays correctly for me.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we're
US just look
official.
like 209.
You do get a design, Luke?
It says,
Can I get it? Can I get a 2/3 plus 1 vote on whether or not this is backwards?
It's backwards.
Yeah, it's backwards. It's backwards.
It's backwards.
It's backwards. Let's get into the chat.
Morning.
It's going into the chat. That's great.
I think maybe the green screen should be a BP requirement from here on out.
It should. It should.
Actually, that's my boss.
Nice.
Now I trust Rick quite a bit. He says it's backwards, so.
Yeah. Rick knows.
I'm sorry to say, Luke. Apologies.
Yeah, don't trust the other 20 people who said it was backwards. So we're all messing with you.
What's going on here? Okay.
There you have it, Luke.
We good? Ah, beautiful. All taken care of.
Yeah. Another item successfully crowdsourced.
9:03.
All right, everyone. People are still coming in. I'm going to reshare the agenda. I did forget to include the proposal from Josh for the Keybase entry. So I've put it last in the agenda because this link was shared on Keybase yesterday. Well, at least 12 hours ago, but it wasn't announced in the agenda. So we'll see if we can get there or not.
Is the call being recorded or streamed right now?
So I am recording it like every time. I have no idea if anyone is streaming it. So let's consider it might be streamed in our conversation.
Based on the vote yesterday, I thought it was decided it would be streamed. Do we have any channel or is EOS Go on Keybase or anything like that to pass it on?
So there is a channel. I can go check right now if we are being streamed. But I mean, the easiest way would be is Kevin on the call. If Kevin's not on the call, then I highly doubt it's being streamed.
Kevin?
Has EOS Go been included in the Keybase group?
They are not, and I don't think they should, but I did send the link to the Zoom call.
Fair enough.
We'll give him a minute and see if he can join and if he wants to stream.
Right now, there's nothing in the streaming channel, the YouTube streaming channel.
So while we wait a minute or two, Adar, you propose to be the roll call. Do we have someone to second that?
I second that.
Thank you. And I made a mistake when I pointed out that U.S. authorities should be taking the minutes if we were to honor the traditions already, but it's not true. So do we have a volunteer for the minutes?
U.S. Amsterdam will take notes.
Can someone second that?
Second.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
I'm happy
So-
to keep organizing the call if someone wants to second that.
Second.
Thank you.
So guys, real quick, roll call. If everyone can please type their name and the number, not their name, their BP name and the number they're listed, just so it's easily tracked. And I would like to propose an idea who Tal from our team thought of. What do you guys say if we do the roll call from now on through Google form? You can very easily track everyone's attendance and some basic analytics to just make the process easier.
I think we should aim for the eosio.forum to soon be sent to the chain. Maybe it's not in the agenda, but like Dan proposed something there. I'd like to roll it out maybe today.
So can we have a few individuals interested in improving the process of the calls, especially roll calling and voting, organize a small subgroup and prepare a proposal document so that we can vote for it maybe in the next call? I know
Sure.
Al suggested, Adar, if you want to help out and if whoever else wants to join, that's
that'd be neat.
Great idea. Thank you.
No problem.
This is Kevin from EOS New York. Have we released the recording of our last meeting? And have we discussed details of where it would be most appropriate to release them or host the files?
We have not released any video. I don't think we have a clear decision on where, how, when to release. So I think this should be another proposal made so that we can vote on it. And do we want to wait until the next call for that? Or
yeah, I think in the interim, we should be releasing them within a reasonable time. We can figure out the method later. I think that it may just be worth giving the recording to EOS Go, Kurios, IMEOS, and saying, okay, here you go. And they can figure out what they would like to do with it. And then we can figure out a formal way to release them in the future. But that could be the near-term solution, as we cannot take a very long time to release them, given recent events that have occurred.
I agree and second that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just want to make sure we set something up fairly quickly so we don't have to continually be in these
we
calls.
barely hear you. Whoever's speaking, we barely hear you.
Who has the recording now?
EOS Canada. We were hosting the last call and had the recording.
I second the proposal of just giving it to EOS Go on EOS inquiries.
Should we just throw them up on Dropbox and give a link out?
That's, yeah. I'll leave it to EOS Canada to figure it out. Then we can move on to the topic for today.
Yeah. Or we could create a YouTube channel and then, yeah.
Yeah. The YouTube channel that EOS Go created, we can just upload that. That would be the simplest.
Yeah. That would.
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
Okay. Hey, Kevin.
Hey guys.
It's still a little bit low.
Welcome.
Hear you.
Yeah, ideally, just upload them to that shared channel. We can help you guys spread the word on that channel and say that we have the overarching password for that channel, the permission password, I guess. But ideally, you guys are maintaining on your own, in my mind, rather than all the media outlets trying to vie for this kind of video. I just think it makes more sense for you guys to handle it on your own.
I'm a little bit worried that this password was shared with such a large group. So I can upload the video for the last session and possibly this session if it's not live streamed. And I will work on a quick recommendation today on better management for that account if anybody wants to help me with that. And we can then move on with the YouTube channel that everybody can promote.
In that case, would you like me to go ahead and just make a new channel and just share the password directly with you for now?
Well, we can change the password for that channel, right?
Sure. Yeah, that works fine too.
I just want to make sure that, we don't get more inappropriate images when we communicate to the world.
There's some history on that, definitely.
All right, can we have a roll call updates that are, and I think we're ready to start the meeting, if so, which is already started.
Hey, Mark, and if you just need help sharing Cypher classes, happy to help out, or since you mentioned you wanted somebody else to help too, so some redundancy, happy to help out.
Yeah, but your first name is too close to my last name, so I don't think that would.
True, there could be some collusion there.
All right.
In regards to roll call, I'm just tallying it up, so I'll post it in the Keybase when it's ready. Although an automated system should be thought of and proposed in the next few weeks, because just for the sake of efficiency.
Yeah, we can't do this every call. Awesome. Thank you, Adar. So, EOS Authority, you led the unregistered token. Do you want to take the call, please?
Yes, I can. I can get started. I've just shared my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll give you a little bit of background quickly. This document was shared yesterday. Basically, what happens is we have unregistered users. These are users that the wallets that didn't have fallback and they didn't register. So if they don't have fallback, it basically means that they didn't have any outgoing Ethereum transactions. The system couldn't find their Ethereum public key, and there is no fallback. This shows the number of users. It's very, very small. It's 0.3%. So 99.97 are fine. We're talking about the 0.3%. And this shows how it's distributed. The 0.3% supply is spread across 20,000 wallets. So we have 10.7% of the wallets have all of that. So that is the background. So we are trying to help these people here, the 10.7% wallet and the 0.3% supply, to get hold of their EOS tokens essentially. So that is what this is all about. EOS Canada have done quite some work already on it. And we seem to be missing two things that we need to discuss and we need to agree before we can actually get people united with their funds. It's basically we need to somehow map. There are people with their Ethereum wallets and their Ethereum private keys and secure wallets and so on. So one suggestion was EOS Rio and EOS 42 have put together a system where we can actually get users to sign and verify that they own the Ethereum wallet and then put in a EOS public key. So that is one step. There are other methods suggested. The second approach is somehow updating the EOS IO, having contract in place. So that's where we are. Any questions on the overall thing so far?
Roshan, I just wanted to check. So when you look at the unregistered contract, there's account names associated with them, but they haven't been created. Is that just the system giving a account name that will be created?
So during the snapshot process, whenever we saw a Ethereum wallet, we automatically gave them like a randomly assigned. It's actually a deterministic index, but that is not.
It is not on chain. We didn't.
It's not on chain, exactly.
No, of course. But that is the account names we'll be giving them, I'm guessing.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
We could do that because everybody got jumbled up names. We could do that. Alex also suggested letting them create a name, but then that can be a little bit tricky.
Okay, but I mean, we could add that to the Ethereum contract if it helps. So you prove you own the private key of Ethereum, you choose an account name.
Yes, but then how do we know the account name is unique, and so on? So they'll have to choose a unique account name.
Very true. Yeah.
I would suggest that in looking for a solution here, that we kind of forget about what would be the easiest, most user-friendly process, and what would be the most quick and accurate process. I think we should just assign the username that would be in the unregistered CSV.
Okay. So that would mean we would need to create an account. If we do that, we need to pay for the RAM. And now that we're not in the Genesis time anymore, someone will need to pay for the RAM. So I assume that if someone wanted to claim their unregistered tokens, they could create an account through other means, like the means of the people right now. They want to create an account. And then we could give them back their token, but assuming they have an account created somewhere else. So we wouldn't gift them RAM for that section, right?
What's the estimated amount of RAM to create a new account name?
It looks like it will be about, the whole total will be about 70 or about 80 megs worth of RAM, I think. So it's 4 kilobytes per account. So we're looking at about 80 megs, which is, let's say, I know we've got the BP. Might be like 1,000 something tokens or so.
We're estimating that it would be 600 or 1,665 EOS.
So that's if you go bare bones on that.
So my estimate is 2 EOS, 2.6 EOS for 19,000 account to get them 8 kilobytes of RAM.
How'd you figure that out, Alex?
So, no. Super out. I'm using the price of the RAM I bought yesterday. So for approximately 5 EOS, I got 300K. And we need 19,000 times 8K, right? So that's 158 megs.
Yeah, so it's about, let's say you can make an account with 4 kilobytes worth of RAM.
Oh, shit.
You could, obviously, like that account just won't be able to create another account. But if we set it at 4 kilobytes, we should be able to have enough RAM to produce it. And that's about, let's say, the 80 megabytes. So
Current RAM price is around 21 cents US dollar per kilobyte.
Yeah.
So 2,600 EOS. That's what I have as an estimate.
That's if you could do 8 kilobytes, but you can do down to 4 if you really want.
Yeah. But we gave everyone. So either we give the same as everyone, or we don't, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. If it's Kevin, if you're right and it's only 1,665, if that's what you said, then divide that by 21. That's 79 EOS. If we had to pay as block producers, if that's the easiest route, we could just pay that, can't we?
Well, we could print it just like we did for the other folks. Why would we do something different here?
Well,
we anything. Just I want to say that to set an expectation, anything that would involve modifying like a system contract or issuing tokens out of the EOS account faster than they would normally go, we cannot make that decision. We would have to file a claim to make that decision.
So that brings up an interesting point, because Thomas was saying down there, we need a blacklist to account for disputed title to prevent release of unregistered token to some people who So this sort of posits that ECAF would or could be the main gate to that, to the release of those funds. So if ECAF wants to be in there, and we don't update the system contract in any way, but ECAF has a reference because on chain we have the data of the snapshot, and they want to start checking with people that they do own that Ethereum address, they could issue a statement that BP could sign. If they want to print RAM, if they want to do different things, well, they could, and they would give us the account to where we should send the funds, or require us to create an account with a given name that they double checked before that didn't exist, or something like that.
When I checked the ECAF website, they were basically saying that they will not accept claims about lost keys and things like that. So
it's not a lost private key, though.
Even so, despite that header on their site, the first order that opinion that they released had to do with exactly that. But I think that the point is that we can't move forward without them, really.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, is there any way we can do this completely within EOS? We can't really do it, right? We definitely need a Ethereum contract.
I mean, you can create accounts. There's nothing wrong with that. It does start to get a little gray when block producers are paying for those accounts.
The question really was like, can we have users like submit like their public key or something and prove that they own the Ethereum account directly into an EOS smart contract? They can't really do that, right? They'll have to. We need to have an Ethereum contract in place, right? Is that the only way?
If we were to have something on the EOS chain, we would need all the cryptographic primitives to do signature checks on Ethereum addresses. And this is probably going to take a little bit of bandwidth. I remember Dan saying, okay, if we need to do that, we'll check, maybe it's going to trickle the deadline, right? The timeouts. And we would need to code that in C++, ship it to the chain, and then people would validate it there, which is not more simple. Well, that's a self-serve solution. But if we have ECAF in the middle that says, well, wait, maybe there's some people who need to dispute a title, if it's a fully self-serve, and we don't know in advance who is going to use that, so we don't have the actor, we don't know the private, the EOS key, so we can't really blacklist, right? It's either self-serve or not. So putting that off-chain might simplify things, so we could have some page. I don't know how the EOS 911 is set up, but I assume that you sign a transaction with MetaMask or whatever.
Yeah, that's the one.
Then you have a proof, like someone gave you something to sign, you sign it, we have a proof you control those funds, and you say yes, and I don't know what, you put your address there, sort of off.
I foresee this being a process that will be ongoing. This will basically, we're not going to have 10,000 people figure this out and we get it done in one shot. ECAF is going to have a system in which they essentially onboard people, and that will have to involve transactions on Ethereum. I think that we, as block producers and block producer candidates, should consult on how that process is set up technically, so that they are able to execute it, and then at normal intervals of time, like once a week, we receive another batch, and then we would go through the steps to allocate tokens to that account that we create, and using a method that we figure out and pay for the RAM, and using a method that we figure out that everybody's aware of and transparent and approves of.
Yeah. Okay. So, are we okay to like put together like an Ethereum contract for now and start collecting all the signatures and so on from Ethereum? Once we have that, we can then decide what the next step is. Is that okay? So we could probably work with EOS 42, EOS Rio, and then get that sorted. Does that sound okay? And then we can figure out the next step.
I think the first step would be notifying ECAF, because we need their consent to have them be a part of this. If they don't consent, we have a big issue.
Of course. Are they present on the call here?
Hi, this is Moti from ECAF. I've just joined in the last minute or so, so forgive me if I've missed the context. If somebody
I just asked Moti to join, so maybe we could just summarize this very quickly so he can have context.
Okay, I can do it again. Moti, basically what we are looking at is we have a small fraction of the supply, about 0.3% of the users who haven't registered their EOS tokens, and they're not within the fallback. It's about 3 million EOS in all. However, the EOS sits in about 19,000 wallets, so that we have it isn't quite a number of wallets. We will have to have some kind of a manual verification process. So they sign a contract on Ethereum and prove that they actually own the tokens. They actually own the Ethereum wallet, and then we'll have to like periodically a couple of weeks, we'll have to bring in add their accounts onto EOS.
Okay.
So So that's the background, and the question was: is ECAF interested in? Can ECAF help?
Yes, I think we can be of assistance. Particularly, I think there may be possibly quite some large accounts in there that might need people to have another eye on it. So maybe not do it completely programmatically, but yeah, we are open to putting in assistance into that. So I think there was some suggestion of collecting evidence, as it were. So putting in place a smart contract where you can verify the ownership, and then you can pass that on to ECAF, where we can do a sanity check of it.
Yeah.
So would you do the check, or would you expect some other people to do the authority check on the ETH address?
Well, if all of the information is brought to us, so you've done a check, you've verified that the smart contract transaction, somebody has signed that they actually own that Ethereum address, and then that's passed to us.
Yeah, we can, the block producers can make it as easy as possible for you to have access to that evidence, but we do not have the authority to rule on its, or not rule, but offer an opinion on its validity, as it would require us to take certain actions that would be inappropriate for us to do without an opinion from ECAF.
So when you say those things, Kevin, what is it backed by? Is it because Constitution statement says so, or is it a general principle we shouldn't do?
Well, first I think it's first we understand that there is no formally ratified system of governance, but I believe that there is a spirit of it that we are trying to follow. If we are trying to make any system level modification, for example, issuing tokens to pay for the RAM costs, that is not something that we should be able to do. That is something
according to what, where?
It is according to the block producer agreement. Oh, let me pull up the text.
Yeah, I'd appreciate.
Yeah. Don't wait for me. I'll grab it.
But I understand what Alex is saying. We already printed for the other accounts. We printed for the 99.7%. So why not for the 0.3%?
Can I make a comment here related to there? At what point are we bailing out people who have not followed a process as most other people followed? And I'm just a little concerned as far as the precedent we set to say this is the process you have to follow to get your EOS tokens. You have to register, and some people didn't follow that process. And then I think in a normal kind of market situation, if they really want to get their tokens, then they should, you know, have a portion of those tokens be paid to the arbitrators or the people that help them obtain their tokens. And so these large accounts would make sense that they'd want to do that. They'd be financially motivated to do that. Some of the smaller accounts would be like, well, it would cost me more than it would be to, I'd pay more in arbitration or investigative fees or whatever it ends up being, or a developer to write a contract for me so I can prove, ownership, that kind of thing. Then it would be the amount of tokens they get back. So I'm wondering, should we put this on the individual holders of the tokens and let them put in their own claims, and then let the market-driven forces reward those who want to help these people get their tokens back? It seems to me that makes a little more sense than saying, well, we know they didn't follow the process that most everyone else did, but then we're going to do something kind of extraordinary for them. I just see a little bit of a disconnect there personally.
I second that 100%. Dan Larimer has interestingly also raised that idea. If you don't follow the process, you should pay part of the cost of making you whole again.
I like that.
Yeah, that's only fair.
And to be
that's a good
fair,
idea.
to be fair, right now ECAF is almost doing things pro bono. All of the hacked accounts, the lost keys, those are pro bono at this stage, but we do expect people to pay for them at some stage, right? ECAF has a structure that needs financing. Yeah.
I want to push everything to market forces as much as possible. I think that makes the most sense, and that really is the point here, where it's not a centralized system, it's a decentralized system. Even these calls are a little bit awkward for me because it should be market driven by votes for BPs and how much value they provide to the community. So I really appreciate what ECAF is doing. I mean, I really appreciate what's going on here, and that's you're adding value to the community. I think that's a great thing.
Let's move on.
All right, awesome.
Excellent. So to summarize it, can we go ahead and start putting the Ethereum contract together, and then get people to sign up there, and then we decide the next steps? Is that correct?
Who will do that? Who will do the Ethereum contract thing?
Yeah, I mean, US 42 and US Rio have put together something already.
We've got one. We just need to adjust it slightly.
Yeah, we don't need a much different contract.
Perfect. So we can bring that evidence to ECAF when we go through, and we can later decide what we'll do with those proofs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Because people cannot tamper the proof of the contract itself, because we are asserting you can only send to the contract if you are the owner of the Ethereum key that you claim to be. You check the sender. So there's no need to check.
They're registering a public key again? An EOS public key?
No.
That's for the 9/11. So
that's for the 9/11. I'm speaking about claiming that they have the ownership of the Ethereum account.
But why wouldn't we have them register a public key then? It'd be simpler. I don't know.
For what? For the registered?
Why? Why not?
Exactly like they do on the 9/11.
Yeah, exactly. We could keep the same exactly.
So why not do that? We'd have a little bit more data if we want to take an action to create an account. And they could pay for that account with their funds, right? We could decide, okay, we'll buy RAM, but you'll pay for it, and we'll create an account with the key registered. It's just a post-launch registration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
I think it'll work. I think we can use the exact same contract as the US Rio have. We don't need the account name or anything of that sort. We just need their key.
Yeah, but if you want to add the account name, it's fine too. No problem.
No. We wouldn't do that. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, understood. I think we have a plan. Excellent.
I think we just need to update the page to make it clear to people what they're signing up to. As an example, you will be paying for RAM, etc., etc.
Yeah, exactly. So if somebody could write documents explaining everything that needs to be done, we can align with it. Sorry.
So
and I would also suggest if any individual BP takes a lead on something like this, I think that's something they could make public. And I'd imagine other BPs might say, hey, that's a great project for the community. We'd like to support that. You know, if they've got funding costs, maybe we would help with that. Just an idea.
Okay. Yeah, great. Let's see.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That's amazing. All right. Second agenda item is referendum.
Translate it all?
Sorry?
Do we need to translate it all on that one?
Good call. Bethany, do you want to someone else? And please mute yourselves. I've been muting a lot of people in the last minutes. Thank you.
Translation。我们刚才讨论的今天会议的第一个话题就是关于 unregistered 的账号，那这些基本上就是没有办法做到 fallback 的，那他们的这个以太坊的这个地址里面没有任何的 transaction， 这上面有300万左右的 EOS，0.3% 的 EOS， 然后有接近2万个的 wallet， 大家可以看到下面这个分享的桌面上面的下面那个数字19000多。我们刚刚讨论对他们的处理方式是什么？一开始讨论是要不把这个决定该不该怎么个操作法？是我们把这些钱 print 出来呢？因为要帮这些19000个创建这些账号的话，需要买 RAM， 然后需要花差不多1000个左右的 EOS。那我们一开始讨论是要不就用最早我们启动主网那个方法，就用印一些币出来，帮他们创建这些账号。但这个现在主网已经启动了。当时在启动过程印币的时候，也有很多持币人提出了这个意见，就是说这个好像不大好。那现在如果我们还要印币的话，如果没有 ECAF 那边的支持的话，将会比较有争议性。所以这个事情还是要等ECAF 那边来给我们做一个决定，会比较适合。后来那个来自USDAC 的 Look 就提了一个建议，我个人也是觉得很好的一个建议，就是这个事情呢，这些人他本身没有去做这个映射，所以导致主网启动起来的时候，他的钱不见了嘛。那如果这些人他想要把他的钱找回来的话，那他应该是有这个动力，去付出一些代价。那包括是我们提供一些方案，比如说做一个 ERC 的 contract， 让我们可以提供一些证明也好，或者是他会去赞助 ECAF 去做一些 investigation， 要花费的这个钱，然后去把他的钱找回来。那把一个我们本来一开始要讨论在这个会议里面几个 BP 联合 ECAF要做的事情交给市场，交给持币人。如果你有这个 incentive， 你有这个你想要把你的币找回来，那你要付出一些代价。以这样的方式，一个市场驱动的方式去做，相比于我们这几个人在这个会议里面讨论出一个结果，相对来讲会比较像区块链上的一个做法。That's it.
Thank you very much, Dafang. Next agenda item from Sharif, Referendum Smart Contract update.
Yeah, it's just a quick update, I suppose, just to let everybody know what's going on. So we have a kind of a subgroup looking at a referendum smart contract. The approach that we're taking is trying to get a proof of concept developed so that we can, learn from that and iterate from it. Some of the challenges are around whether the smart contract will be suitable or not for referendum changes or for constitutional changes. And with the clause that's in the current constitution to have 30 consecutive days and a quorum of 15%, what I think is probably more useful right now is something that can be used on chain for even these BP groups to make binding decisions for non-constitutional issues and then grow it from there. But that's kind of the approach that we're taking. Hopefully you should have something to show in the next couple of days and get some feedback.
Can I Could I give everyone an update just because Michael, who works for EOS 42, he's writing the contract, and he just gave me a quick summary of what he's changed since this morning. Just maybe an overview so we understand how the contract works.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would that help?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm curious.
So basically, users will vote with their stake token. So the same tokens that you've got staked to vote for a BP, you would use that same percentage to vote for whatever you want to vote for. And what happens is, so you register your vote during the day. At the end of the day, all the registered voters will have their stake tokens counted. And if the count is greater than 15%, it counts as a successful day. And once we reach 30 successful days, the vote will pass. Now, there is slight issues with that. Obviously, during the day, the vote count's going to go up and down. So it depends at what point you trigger a successful day. But according to the people on the call, as a initial design, that should work. He's also looking to see whether we can count votes on a block by block basis, which will then get you around the issue of the votes jumping up and down during the day.
So you cannot access the vote weight from a smart contract. How is that going to be handled, right? You want to take the weight that you already have on BPs, or what you have staked, because that's all only in the system contract.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he's done that. This is just a summary he's given me.
Okay.
But have a look. Have you got the link to the GitHub, Alex?
Yeah, I have.
It's on there. Have a look there. You can read through it. And
I have another proposition. Remember that eosio.forum thing Dan put? I mean, this can be used to sign messages from an account. And we could very simply ask for people to send a little message, right, saying the proposition name, yes, or have a structured message. Like in the forum, we could have a proposition name field plus a message we'd expect to have yes. And then we could just see the big stream of votes coming through, and we could offline calculate the results based on the stake they had at that point. So everyone could be able to audit that. People could ship software to double check that. It's just another proposition.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fine for point in time referendum. But the issue is in the Constitution, for any changes to that, they would have to vote every day for 30 days.
You mean re-vote?
Yes.
Each day?
That's the issue based on that clause that's in there. So the vote must be whatever the percentage of yes versus no's, and it must maintain that for 30 consecutive days within a 120-day window.
But if you say yes on day one and on day two you don't say anything, it's still your yes, right?
Yeah, but Alex, what if they unstake their tokens? Now they don't stake tokens right now to be voting with, and we can't track that using that method.
But if the election opens and then people say yes, and when the auction closes, not the auction, but the election closes, then we can take a snapshot of the staked token at that point and collate with the yes and no's, and that is the end of the election. Wouldn't that work?
And if they unstake for 20 of those 30 days?
If they stake or unstake during the 20 days, it doesn't matter. It just matters what's staked at the end of the 30 days.
That would be
30 days to think about it.
But that would be pretty complicated. It'd be a gong show, and then you would be giving the impression that, for example, it'd be a yes or a no, whichever, and then at the end you would consolidate in the 120-day period. That would look really bad, in my opinion, if there's not a better way for people to be able to do this.
Can I propose that we create a kind of a special working group to work on this particular problem, and then we can...
We have one.
Okay,
we've been working on it.
Well, it sounds like we're trying to solve it right now, so let's not take this whole call just trying to solve the details.
Yeah, true.
Let's
Pull me
join
in
the work.
here for that thing. Maybe I just throw a couple ideas, okay?
You want to join the group?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay, cool.
I can add you, Alex.
So, Sheriff, did you have anything else you wanted to update on?
No, that's it. As I said, hopefully we'll get a POC smart contract out for consolidate or for consideration and comment in the next few days. And then if it's something that I'm not too sure how we agree to use it. Probably we'll have to do some kind of vote here and get approval that it's binding. But
well, I would imagine, would it be possible for the ECAF to review and then to recommend? Would that even make sense?
The ECAF isn't very technical, so they would be looking to us to review it.
So that makes no sense. Thank you.
I see the 120 days. It's a moving window we're looking at. So that makes it a little bit more complex. Gosh, should have tackled that before.
Article 11 is a strong precedent. Like, if you want to give the referendum process, weight, just giving it the same standards as Article 11 to bring it into effect, I think would be a pretty powerful signal.
Yeah, I think it's relevant for changing the Constitution or ratifying the Constitution, but I do think we need a more lightweight way to just have polls and votes to make decisions. But I don't think it's fit for purpose for the kind of things that we're struggling with at the moment.
All right, thank you very much, Sheriff, and the whole team that is making this move forward. Next agenda item is ECAF funding. Ben Sigmund, can you please start the conversation?
Hey, good day, everybody. I'm going to reshare that document here in the Zoom so everyone has it handy. So I put together this document after some conversations with David Moss about the need for ECAF to be funded now. I think everyone can recognize that ECAF will be serving a really important role in this organization and community. So it's already come up in this conversation that we're looking to lean on ECAF for certain things, but however, there are no worker proposals that are even close to being ready. I know there's a committee working on them. So I wanted to propose that essentially we, as BPs, could agree on some system of paying them now. The idea would be if we all paid them equally, then there would be no question of whether or not they would treat VPs equally fair. So I suggested here 1% of the BPay and VPay to go to them, and I'd like to open this up for discussion.
And we do have Moti on the line here as well, who is right now, I think, effectively head of ECAF. So,
yeah, hi.
I had comments, but I don't want to be the first one to go. So, anyone has comments?
Too late, Alex.
I've got comments as well. I thought my understanding was this would be a market-driven system, and if we start paying to get it off the ground, that's a little concerning because there are BPCs who spent, in some cases, 6 months or a year spending money on teams and creating limited liability companies and renting servers, and with no promise or guarantee of any pay whatsoever. And there's a significant risk and an amount of effort that went into getting to where we are today. And we've got 100 backups who did this, and maybe a lot of them aren't even getting paid right now. I think it's a little quick to me a few days in to say we can't have this system function unless we come up with some money to pay them. I would really prefer personally, I've discussed this a little bit with my team, I'd really prefer that we have a market-driven solution. And if the current people involved in ECAF do not see the market incentive to take on this role and become the name that's mentioned in the Constitution, then I wonder,
explain market-driven solution.
My understanding was that the arbitrators would get a portion of whatever the claim is, kind of like a lawyer kind of takes a portion of the rewards. Now, maybe my understanding is incorrect, but that was my understanding, that there would be a market incentive for arbitrators and dispute resolution people to be involved in this process, in this system, because there's money there that they can earn, and they want that money. Now, if it's different than that, if it's just going to be worker proposals and they get paid by the blockchain, regardless of if they're working on individual disputes or not, I guess I don't have clarity on what was originally designed for how they're going to get payment and what we're proposing. Because if it's going to be a temporary thing to get them off the ground until something else is there, I guess I'd like to have all that clarified, or what the intention was for how they were going to get paid, and then we could talk about it from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think this is for sure a temporary situation. I mean, their worker proposals will have more than enough money to fund ECAF and other things. But I think for now, the need for ECAF to be active and funded, essentially there's several things that are addressed in this document, and you guys can go through it to take a look at this. But or Moti can provide some additional information. Yeah. But one of the main things is that for these members of ECAF to make decisions, they need to have an organization to indemnify them legally, to prevent them from being sued or taking any type of legal action taken against them outside of EOS for decisions that they make. And that's one of the big things that needs to happen.
So has every block producer candidate up to this point. But we did just talk about a very large case that would take a very long time, that has millions of EOS tokens associated with it, that would likely serve as a good starting point for funding as a, in the way that Luke described it. So a percentage of each case that is awarded, which essentially would be the balance of each unregistered token address, that would probably go a long way.
Yeah. So
but while they're in the process of arbitrating that, they are still exposing themselves to possible future litigation because they did not have any legal protection or indemnity, and so it's a kind of a catch-22.
I wouldn't say set up that organization just like all the BPs did. Like before we became BPs, we thought through and we spent that money because we had a future hope for rewards. And is this different? And if so
you're saying that this is in a governmental situation. This is the thing that I'm concerned about, is that we keep describing this as the three branches of government here, and this is a separate branch of government. And if they're going to be an independent profit-making organization, is that what we're saying? Is that this branch is basically going for profit and is funded by putting up money and hoping that they'll be able to make enough profit as they go? How does that work in this kind of a thing where they're supposed to be neutral?
Yeah, I'd like to pitch in here. I think you make a good point there. This is a part of government, and when people founded countries, they started a few people and they gathered steam, and then they decided it makes sense to split executive and jurisdictional. And then maybe there's a way for the executive that was there permanently that wants to split that power to fund those folks so that they can do their role for the benefit of the whole, right? For the benefit of the executive of the whole country. So I was thinking, Joe, regarding the BP pay, the BP pay is very funky right now. If you don't claim at the right moment, we've lost some of these because not exactly the timing was. I'm sure everyone learned the hard way how it worked. So, and then at this point, figuring out a percentage of that pay is going to be hard. It's going to be tricky, and the accounting is not going to be slick. And also, I want to pitch out the idea is that we have a large worker proposal fund that's stacking up. And I understand that, for example, other blockchains like Dash, they have a big pile of money stacking, and they haven't been able to spend that money through worker proposals, right? It's been stacking up. And I was thinking, as the executive branch, slowly putting into place the judicial branch, sorry for the word, not right word, we could take some of the worker proposal and fund them because it's useful for everyone, right? So that's my proposal.
So I have another question, because before every attributor can get Referendum, because for now they are just an intern ECAF. They don't have jurisdiction in that or US nation. So in that case, if we give some money to them from the system, means we acknowledge the jurisdiction in that system of them. So we can collecting money for them, but we have to make them when they become the official ECAF, we can pay them, but we can collecting money for them for now from the system.
Yes, guys, and our opinion is that we need to keep the independence of institutions and avoid any conflict of interest.
For example, today we talked with Moti, and he said yes to our proposal of taking all these cases. But what if we pay for them? He can say no, because we're going to remove the funding for them. So we need to keep our independence of interests and institutions, right?
So what do you propose by that? Having a BP pay, having a worker proposal pay? What exactly?
No, that we cannot pay for ECAF. We need to wait for worker proposals.
So look, worker proposals are not ready, but the money is piling. So we could, before the worker proposal gets into full-fledged, still, like, who has the power to do that right now? It's us, right? We can send a transaction from one account to the other account from the worker proposal fund. It's not going to be a perfect thing. It's not going to be like the worker proposal system we would love, but it would get things off the ground solidly, so we could give, I don't know, something.
That's not our money.
Yeah, the worker
The worker
proposal
proposal
system
tokens are
is not a BP thing. It's a separate body that will need to determine it. And our original estimate was that the worker proposal system wouldn't really be in place with all the things necessary to be able to use it, probably for 4 to 6 months from initial launch. Was the
so worker proposal doesn't exist. What exists is a temporary fund that is accumulated through inflation. Now, who has the capacity to spend that? People have the capacity to spend it first and then to roll out a contract that would make that a worker proposal. But today, it's a system, it's inflation that we have control of. And it's the bootstrapping issue. How do we bootstrap all of that? A way we could
we all did it ourselves, going back to Luke's original point. But I want to ask, in the constitutional, the interim constitution that we have, ECAF is named. But the ideas that have been thrown around, and I'm reading the Constitution right now, is that there would be other arbitration forums, and there would be some form of free market justice, so to speak. But what I do not see is what is the definition of an arbitration forum? What are the required criteria to be considered valid? Who is deciding which arbitration forums are valid? Because we could say that on this call, ECAF needs to figure this out. And the way that they figured out hypothetically could be that 2% of every claim amount goes to ECAF, but then another arbitration forum can say, well, we're going to do 1%, and we're going to be able to do it twice as fast. And then they're off to the races. But what is the criteria for an arbitration forum besides ECAF?
So can I just bring up a couple of points on that? In the long term, yes, ECAF should be self-sustaining, and there are various ways for doing that. One is obviously taking filing fees, individual arbitrators being paid as a result of claimants' awards. But that takes time, right? To build up a war chest of having run through enough cases over time that will actually fund the ongoing operation of ECAF. So what we're talking about here is a bootstrap situation where we do not have funds to put in place, well, any funds really, to put in place the structures that we need for ECAF. Then to your point, Kevin, what is an arbitration forum? Well, effectively, an arbitration forum is, the basic answer is when two parties agree that they're choosing an external entity to arbitrate against a dispute, then that effectively becomes a forum, as it were. So when we're talking about market forces, yes, you could have a situation even now, 6 months from now, whenever, where individual DApps decide that ECAF doesn't fulfill their requirements, and they decide to name another arbitration forum to fulfill their requirements. And that's fine. That's the free market working. But in the event that, for example, that arbitration forum is not able to, for whatever reason, resolve their dispute, then where do they go, right? ECAF is the fallback, right? And to the point on, several points, sorry, to the point where your people are suggesting, well, ECAF should basically invest in itself, which is what I understand as you BPs have done. Well, that's fine, but you're doing that, I assume, because you're expecting a return on your investment. Now, do we really want ECAF to be considered as an investment vehicle where whoever is investing in its initial founding, is expecting a return in the later stages. I mean, that just sounds like building up a case for conflict of interest and vested interest for the future.
Can I just jump in here?
A few questions. One, my personal opinion is that the executive, the VPs, need to be separate from the judiciary. And so this proposal already makes me feel uncomfortable. So just laying my bias out there. But I would ask that, has the ECAF gone to the community and asked what should be done about the funding? Because I'd be very interested to hear what the community's opinion is on this, because, I'm gonna hazard a guess here and say that they would not be in favor of block producers funding ECAF, even in this bootstrapping position. However, maybe I have the wrong impression.
What is the form for ECAF to go to the community? We don't really have anything for anyone to go to the community as a whole right now.
That's I mean, not the community as a whole, David, but block producers have invested months and months of time in developing those channels, and right now the only access point that anyone in the community has to ECAF is kind of through block producer, which isn't appropriate. So when is ECAF going to be able to set up front-facing accessible channels in which they are able to communicate, besides just please submit a claim and we will get back to you at an undetermined amount of time?
So you're saying, when are they going to do that, even though they have no funding and nobody is being paid?
Yeah, just like we all did.
Yes,
yeah, just like us.
Yeah. Okay. Again, the argument about that is So Modi's point is, should ECAF be a for-profit institution that is providing this service and therefore bootstrap themselves up and then take the funding as it goes to be able to get paid, even though the BPs know exactly how much money they're going to be paid on a daily basis, and ECAF some days may get no cases at all, and other days may have a bunch of other cases that take 2 months to arbitrate, and it's a completely different kind of a business.
I think if another option that we're not considering, which are donations, and so that's what I'm asking. Like, ECAF gone to the community and say, hey, if you like what we're doing, please donate to help bootstrap this process. I mean, there are other options here that we need to consider before we go to the block producers and start asking them for funds, because I don't like the mix and the message and the optics that sends to the community.
Donations
worker proposals are donation from inflation, right? It's just that money doesn't come from their own pocket. It comes from a pool of money. And in the future, what we're going to see is that we're going to have ECAF 2, and it's going to have another acronym. I don't know, let's say, imagine there's 5 arbitration forums. They're going to file a worker proposal, and they're going to put out marketing. They'll say, look, we put the best lawyers on earth on that. And then they're going to propose that, and people are going to say yes or no. And then you're going to, I don't know, 50K EOS maybe because of that proposal.
Alex, there is indeed at least one group that I'm aware of that actually is in Los Angeles, where I am, that actually was going to create an arbitration marketplace. And so there are for-profit groups that are planning on putting those kinds of things together.
That's cool.
And so I guess the idea is that maybe this is kind of an existential question. Is this a free market thing where people are looking for arbitration forums and shopping jurisdictions and various things like that? Or are we going to have it so it's an independent group that does not need to make a profit? And so I guess maybe that's the existential question right now.
I think we glossed over 2 important things. With the unregistered tokens, there's 3.3 million tokens. 5% of that's over 160,000 tokens. The issue that was brought up on that was brought up before, I think by Kevin Rose, was that ECAF needs to indemnify themselves somehow. Can we just look at what it takes for ECAF to feel they have indemnification and pass on that liability? And maybe we can solve. That might be a much easier, simpler issue to solve. And then we can let the unregistered tokens fund the bootstrapping process.
It's an interesting proposal. So you're saying that just simply arbitrating the unregistered token issue would actually fund them. It's still the cart before the horse. If the unregistered token claimants come back later on and say ECAF took part of that money in order to do it, and while they were doing it, they weren't indemnified. I'm just trying to figure that out.
So what is it that ECAF feels they need to feel indemnified? Because that's the issue at hand, really, to allow that to happen. And I think that's going to be a lot smaller than 1% every day of BP pay.
It's usually a legal structure. right? So all of you have LLCs or various different kinds of organizational structures that indemnify you.
Did Moti answer that?
Legal, etc. So
yeah. So what does it take for ECAP to feel
Moti, it's your stage, please.
Yeah, no, it is effectively a legal structure that, a limited liability structure, and within that structure, there's also apportioning costs for legal defense. Right?
So to set up a limited liability company in the UK, for instance, I mean, we're talking £100. We're not talking.
Well, yes. But then what happens when an individual sues that limited liability company? So we've
that's
liability from.
How much is enough in that situation?
Well, how much is a lawsuit? I mean, if we look at the American jurisdictions, how much do you apportion for a lawsuit?
Well, again, this is where just really simply you would need to set up a corporation. It would need to determine where the corporation was located. Is it located in the United States? Is it located in Malta? If so, then it has to get professional liability insurance that will help it. Most attorneys and medical professionals and others have those kinds of things. They would need to be insured through most likely something like Lloyd's of London and get a particular kind of bond that would allow them to specifically indemnify themselves and be able to handle the legal costs as they come up. So those are just costs. I mean, basically, it's putting together.
Moti, has ECAP done that research to see how much it would cost to do basically what everything David has just mentioned? Do you have an estimate of what it would cost?
So we don't have a figure right now, but it's not free, right?
No, but I mean, that would go a long way to have the research done to show this is what we would need to be indemnified, and look at all the steps that have been taken to get us to this point. I think that would definitely be a good starting point.
Yeah, Moti, it sounds like there's some offline work to do here, and there's been a motion to adjourn the meeting and continue Monday. So
okay,
I seconded that, and some other people seconded it. So I think we should bring this call to an end. Mark?
Thank you very much, everyone. We are out of time, and I don't think we can close the subject in 2 minutes anyway, so there's no point in continuing.
Thank you.
So Moti, if you could please put some more things together so we can
do
have
that
discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Moti. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good stuff, everybody.
Monday, 13 UTC. We will share the minutes and the agenda. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for keeping the thing short. Appreciate.
Thank you.